Okay, because Ruth is on one. I'm not gonna lie, Ruth, she is definitely on one. At first, I was like, "What is Ruth doing?" But like, she is on one. Like, Ruth has definitely lost her mind, and I'm so here for it. Let's get right into it. It's your boy Jamar back with another video. Back with another video. Today I'll be reviewing Ruth, the season 6, episode 7, titled "Silent Negotiation." And like I said, Ruth is on one. This whole episode is just Ruth losing her mind. Like, Ruth is literally about over it. Ruth is about over it, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. It's about time though. Like, I'm proud of Ruth for finally being on there. Like, she's not all the way there yet, but like she getting to that point. So let's just get right into the episode. So the episode starts off with Ruth. She's delivering the highest food, and basically, they're walking with the agonized Joan, River, and all them, and basically, they tell Joan and everyone else to go to their trailers. They take Obadiah takes River to the punishment trailer, and when Ruth tries to give the highest like his stuff, she basically yells at him and starts hitting him and beating him, telling him that he needs to check his men. His men are becoming weak, and he's basically saying, "Are you trying to tell me what to do?" And she's basically like, "No, basically you need to be back into control." So then she basically dopes him up. She gives him some heroin, and then she dopes him up until he passes out. And yeah. Then Obadiah puts River in a punishment chair next to Zane. River and Zane are talking. River's trying to convince Zane that Ruth is not there for him. We're there for them. She's only there for herself because her daughter died. So, Ruth has lost her mind. Zane's basically like, no, that's not true. Ruth is here for all of us and this and that third. Meanwhile, the older mother's in the kitchen planning food or whatever, and she gets the poison, and she almost tries to sip it. So I'm like, oh my God, is the older mother contemplating, suicide? So then Ruth walks in and basically puts a knife to her freaking face, telling her to tighten up, basically, and I'll run things over here, and basically telling her to fix the food. Little does she know, though, little does Ruth know, the elder mother done put poison in her food. Yes, the elder mother done put poison in Ruth's food, but we're going to get into that. But wait, that scene was a key though. Before we get back, get away from that, because Ruth was basically going back and forth with the elder mother saying that her coochie was dry. It was a key. That whole scene was a key. But then Desiree ends up calling Ruth and basically telling her everything's on go. She's gonna plan a funeral for Callie, and she's gonna be in good witness protection. But the only thing is she can't unfreeze the money. And Ruth basically tells her that if she doesn't unfreeze the money, she's gonna tell the public that the FBI let her daughter die, and she's gonna make it sound believable. So Desiree's panicking, overthinking, but Kyle comes in and basically reminds her, don't let Ruth, have power over you. And then she basically puts Ruth's picture up and basically says, Ruth, you want to play? Let's play. So I don't know what Desiree's about to do, but Desiree wants to play this game with Ruth. So the other mother starts by to deliver the highest and Ruth their food. And basically, she panics because she thinks the highest is dead or something. But he wakes up frantic, and basically, she gives him this food, and she basically says how she feels left out since Ruth is around, and she feels like that the highest doesn't really need her no more. And basically, he basically tells her that basically Ruth agreed to make her the godmother of the child, and she's so happy and this and that and the third. So then Ruth comes in. And basically, she sees everything that's going on. She's like, what is she doing here? And then that's when the highest basically tells her that, I told her that you agreed to let her become godmother. And then that's when she's acting all happy. And then before Ruth can take a bite of her food, she basically slaps it out of her hand saying, oh, no, it's too spicy for a pregnant woman. This and that. They're basically changing her mind since, she's the godmother now. But then the highest ends up feeding the food to Teresa. And basically, after Teresa starts, throwing up and, start coughing and everything, he's like, that's unusual. And then that's that. So then Ruth starts by basically telling Zane to stay strong because she's going to get her out and this and that. The River's over there making slick remarks, but Ruth is basically trying to ensure Zane that she's going to get her out. So then Ruth is walking, and then one of the agonized, what's his name is, I think he said Josh or Jonathan or something like that, Josh or something like that. He's over here questioning her and this and that and the third. And basically, he's saying he's going to walk with her and guide her since Manny's not around. And she's basically saying, I'm going to enjoy killing you. And he's like, what did you mean by that? And then the episode cuts off. So, like I said, Ruth is on one. I feel like we're finally getting somewhere. I feel like Ruth is about to be on these people's ass, and I'm here for it. That was the end of this week's episode, and I can't wait to see you guys next week for episode 8 of Ruthless.